NCPCR has recommended that minority schools be brought under RTE. Welcome to Inventiva, I'm Oishi, Banik, back with today's news. The Commission's objective was to assess the impact of this exemption of minority education institutions from various guidelines that are mandatory for non-minority institutions. Minority schools are exempt from implementing the right to education policy and do not fall under the government's Sarva Shiksha Abhiyan. Through this report, the NCPCR has recommended that these schools be brought under both RTE and SA, amongst a host of other recommendations. How are minority schools exempt from RTE and SSA? In 2002, the 86th Amendment to the Constitution provided the right to education as a fundamental right. As opposed to these acts, Article 30 of the Constitution states the right of minorities to establish and administer educational institutions with a view to provide opportunities to children from different religious and linguistic minority communities to have and conserve a distinct culture, script, and language. Subsequently, in 2012, through an amendment, the institutions imparting religious education were exempted from the following RTE Act. The Commission's objective was to assess the impact of this exemption of minority education institutions from various guidelines that are mandatory for non-minority institutions. The Commission is of the view that the two different sets of rules, Article 21A, that guarantees fundamental right of education to all children, and Article 30, which allows minorities to set up their own institutions with their own rules, and Article 15.5, which exempts minority schools from RTE, as creating a conflict picture between fundamental right of children and right of minority communities. Since then, 16 such consultations have been organized. Phase 1 focuses on number of institutes, community type, enrollment, recognition status, affiliation status, etc. The Commission has observed in the report that many children who are enrolled in these institutions or schools were not able to enjoy the entitlements that other children are enjoying because the institution they are studying in is exempted and is enjoying the rights of minority institutions. The Commission has said there have been certain detrimental effects on this exemption. On the one hand, there are schools, mostly Christian missionary schools, which are admitting only a certain class of students and leaving underprivileged children out of the system, thus becoming what the Commission has called cocoons populated by elites. As opposed to this, other types of minority schools, in particular madrasas, have become ghettos of underprivileged students languishing in backwardness, says the Commission. The Commission has said that students in madrasas which do not offer a secular course along with religious studies, such as sciences, have fallen behind and feel a sense of alienation and inferiority when they leave the school. The report also finds that only 4.18% of total students receive benefits such as free ships, free uniforms and books, scholarships, etc. The Commission has found surges in the number of schools applying for minority status certificates after the 93rd Amendment was brought in, with more than 85% of schools from total schools securing the certificate in the years 2005, 2009 and later. The Commission believes this took place as schools wanted to operate outside the legal mandate to reserve seats for backward class. In 2014, the Pramati judgment made the entire RTE Act non-applicable on minority schools. What is the proportion of minority schools in India? How many minority students are studying in these schools? The Commission has found a disproportionately high number of Christian missionary schools in the country in relation to population of Christians as well as the number of schools run by other minority groups. It also finds that 74% of students studying at Christian missionary schools are non-minority students. The report says that across minority communities, 62.50% of students in minority schools belong to non-minority communities. Further, only 8.76% of total students in minority schools belong to socially and economically disadvantaged backgrounds. The Commission has said that state governments need to introduce strict guidelines on the minimum percentage of minority students that these schools need to admit, as well as look at the proportion of schools run by particular minority community in relation to the size of population living in the state, before the school is awarded recognition. The Commission has found the instructions in such schools to be deficient.